The story starts with Francois and his child Emile stuck in a traffic jam. At that time, they were arguing with each other, and in the meantime, Emile got out of the car in anger. After which Francois also followed him. At that point he saw an ambulance, from which the sound of somebody shouting was too coming. Francois immediately hid behind a car with Emile. And then a man broke through the door of the ambulance and came out, who was half human and half bird. The security officers promptly attempted to capture the mutant, but he pushed them away and ran away. After a whereas, Francis and Emile went to see the doctor, where Emile's mother Lana was being treated. Actually, she was also turning into a mutant. In the last few years, many people around the world were slowly becoming mutants. And it was seen that these mutants would become very aggressive after a while. On the other hand, the government was too attempting to keep them in an isolated put so that a medication might be made to remedy them. Most people preferred to stay away from mutants, one of whom was Emile. But Francois told him that his mother is still a part of his family. It was a stormy night, so the power went out. And with the sound of lightning, Emile's eyes opened. And then he saw a mutant lurking in his house. The lightning came back at that time, but by at that point the mutant had disappeared. The following morning, he got an emergency call, after which they quickly went to a place. When he come to there, he found out that an ambulance full of mutants fell into the lake since of the storm final night. At the same time, Francois' eyes fell on the corpse of a mutant floating in the water. As soon as he saw it, he was exceptionally scared. Police officer Julia told him that some mutants had gotten from the ambulance and ran into the jungle. And Francois' wife Lana was also one of them. The next day, the teacher had a tug-of-war match at school. Caught. In which all of Emile's group instantly fell down. But Emile was, which one holding that rope? And with the help of his strength, they won the match. Everyone was very impressed by his strength. And they also welcomed Emile to a party. But Emile's consideration was only on his hands. And he instantly ran towards his house, where he began pulling something out of his nails. And after a lot of pain, he finally pulled out little claws from his nails, which implied that he himself was also becoming a mutant. After that, he took out his t-shirt and saw that the shape of his back was too gradually changing. Seeing so numerous changes in himself, Emile was exceptionally apprehensive. Francois was in the supermarket where he met Julia. At that point he abruptly listened somebody shouting. Suddenly, a buyer had seen a mutant. Empty the store. But Francois still begun looking for that mutant. He was trusting that this mutant was his wife Lana. But when he saw that mutant, it was just a girl who had come to eat fish. But seeing himself encompassed, he begun running, tossing things at Julia. Julia still caught him very easily. Next Friday, Emile went to a party with his friends where everyone was having a lot of fun. But at that point all of a sudden, Emile begun having issues due to liquor. For which a girl named Nina gave him a medicine. But at that point Emile couldn't halt himself from licking his hands. And seeing his behavior, all the kids sitting there started laughing at him. Seeing his joke, Emile was feeling very bashful, that's why he quickly ran towards the forest. The next morning, when he woke up, he was lying close to a lake. And at that point he felt a blood in his mouth. He spat it out and went straight to his house. When he reached the bathroom, he first pulled out a feather from his mouth, which implied that he had hunted a bird at night. After a while, Emile and Francois broke the police blockades and cleared out to see for Lana in the jungle. On the way, Emile inquired his father how he felt when his mother was changing. On which Francois replied that he never felt anything strange, because he still considered Lana as his wife and she had just changed a small bit. What else had happened? After sunset, they used a car to find Lana, in which Lana's favorite song was playing. After which they rested in the car, and when he opened his eyes in the morning, Emile saw that his fingers were gradually changing, and then suddenly his dog ran towards the forest. Abruptly, the same birdman who ran absent from the ambulance attacked Emile, in which blood began coming out of Emile's shoulder. Emile's eyes, he realized that Emile was also a mutant, and that's why he halted there. But at that point Francois came there to save his son, after which he took Emile and cleared out promptly. On the way, Francois to the hospital, for which Emile clearly denied, because he knew what would happen as soon as he reached the hospital. In the center of their contention, a horse suddenly came in front of their car. But Francois took a break at the right time and spared him. Really, they had reached a riding school where a mutant had assaulted some horses. And that's why Julia and her group were there. And taking advantage of this opportunity, Francois got some stitches on the shoulder of Emile from the army doctor. But soon after, Emile began licking his own blood by removing those stitches. After school, whereas going domestic, Emil was finding it troublesome to ride a cycle due to the changes in his body. But Nina tried her best to help him, so much so that she took Emil to her house to spend time with her. After leaving Nina's house, Emil went to the pond to hunt a fish, where he caught a fish with his own hands. After the hunt, he went in search of the birdman who was trying to fly at that time. And as soon as he met him, Emil gave him the fish to eat. After that, he found out that the birdman did not keep in mind his real name, but he had kept his name Fix. After seeing the wounds on his body, Emil calculated that he should be taken to another place where he could practice his flying well. And that's why he took him to the pond, where he was ready to practice there after removing all the branches. That same evening, while returning home, he was having a lot of trouble riding his cycle. And that's why the cycle there, after which he told his father an untrue story about the burglary of the cycle. The following day, whereas working in the bar, a mutant all of a sudden assaulted Francois, but at that point he saw that the mutant was tied to the chain, so he started to calm him down. At that point he suddenly heard another mutant running away, after which Francois's companion came and attempted to calm the mutant. Actually, that mutant was the relative of the lady he was covering up from the police. But that mutant broke the chain and ran away from there. And seeing him, everyone in the bar went crazy. Francois thought that the other mutant was none other than Lana. And that's why he followed her and ran towards the jungle, where he met his wife once more, who had totally turned into a bear. The next day, after school, Emil went to meet Fick once more, where he also treatment on some of his wounds. And the same evening, Francois went to the jungle with Julia to see for Lana once more. The boy found no trace of Lana. But whereas he was in the jungle, he noticed Emil's bicycle, which was stolen according to Emil. After returning home, Francois noticed that the drain of the wash basin had stopped. So when he opened it, he saw a part of hair and nails in it. When he saw this, he understood that something was wrong with Emil. When he came back to Emil's house, Francois put a cycle and nails in front of him, on which Emil denied to give any answer. After that, Francois decided to keep him out of the house until he told the whole truth. After seeing his father's condition, Emil attempted to run away from there, but Francois caught him instantly, after which Emil cried for a long time. The next morning, Emil was eating from the plate, but Francois didn't say anything to him, and he also gave Emil some medicine to bring, which he could use during his class. After examining Emil's body, he inquired Emil to cut his nails every day. And while going to school, he asked him to fill his ears with cotton so that he could hear the sounds of the distance a little softly. The following day, when Emil went to meet Fix, he found out that now Fix could only make the sound of a bird and he had lost his capability to speak. After seeing this condition of his friend, Emil embraced him, after which Fix showed him flying. After meeting Fix, Emil went straight to the fair, where he was also working with Francois. And he got very irate seeing Emil there, because he had asked Emil to stay covered up from everyone. And that's why the contention between the two started, which soon turned into a fight, in which Emil cut his father's shoulder. After getting out of there in outrage, he met Nina, who advised him to go for a walk in the fields. And whereas listening to him, he got ready to walk with him. Amid this time, they got very close to each other, but as soon as Emil took off his t-shirt, Nina's eyes fell on his changing body. But Nina was not afraid because she already knew about it. After coming back, when Emil went to the bathroom, a boy encompassed him. The boy began telling that he saw Emil with Nina in the fields. After which he began making a sound with a special gadget. This sound was of such a frequency that only animals could hear. And Emil was getting very disturbed with that sound. And that's why he pushed the boy and ran away from there. But in the meantime, the boy got a scratch on his face. After that, he told everybody that Emil was a mutant. And as soon as this news spread, people took their weapons and began looking for Emil, who was hiding in the fields out of fear at that time. But then this dog saw him, and as soon as Emil chased him, people fired bullets at that dog. But as soon as they were about to shoot at Emil, Fix came there and picked up a man and killed him with his claws. After that, he began flying towards the jungle so that Emil could follow him. But then some police cars also started following them. To stop them, Emil decided to cross the pond. But then the police shot at Fix, who was flying in the air. After that, Fix fell straight on the ground. After seeing his friend's condition, Emil instantly ran towards him, but he couldn't do anything, and Fix broke his arm. After a whereas, Francois and the rest of the people found Fix's body, but Emil was nowhere to be seen around. The next evening, due to the storm, Emil went to a cave and hid, where he saw a bear coming towards him. But as soon as he came to him, he noticed that it was no one else, but his mother, who put her head on him with great love and then told him to walk with her. After a whereas, they reached a place where many mutants lived together, and then a flare shot came flying at that place, which meant that the army had found out about them. All the mutants attempted to escape from there, but the army used the same uncommon voice which was causing a lot of trouble to the mutants. None of the mutants were able to elude from there, and all of them were captured by the army. After a whereas, Francois affirmed at the police station that Emile had reached there in a state of inebriation. After which the police asked for Emile's signature for bail. But Emile's body had changed so much that he was not able to hold the pen. He was not able to hold the right. He accidentally grabbed a piece of paper, and as soon as the police gave him another piece of paper, Emile began growling at him, so Francois had no option but to push him and make him unconscious. As soon as the policeman was unconscious, Francois himself signed the paper, after which he took Emile out of there. But in a small whereas, a lot of police officers begun following him, but Francois promised Emile that he would not let him be in jail at any cost, after which Francois drove the car at full speed into the forest where he freed Emile.